So, 2 episodes ago, I noticed you guys loved that I discussed the community reactions to the news that happened, or whatever the case may be. Last time it was the former DICE developers thread about the next game, and I was reacting to the community's reaction and giving my opinion about it. And you guys really enjoyed that, it seems. So we're gonna do the same thing in this episode. Community reaction analysis will be at the end, and it seems like you really enjoyed it. And I don't know why, maybe because I did not hold back my honest opinion, whatever the case may be. But we're gonna do this again, and we're gonna analyze the community's reaction and see what's the temperature, because you guys seem to enjoy it, so we're gonna do that. So, here's the plan for this episode. We're gonna talk about Battlefield Labs. We're gonna talk about the gameplay analysis. There was like 12 seconds of gameplay that was shown at the end of this Battlefield announcement video, whatever you wanna say. We'll talk about some news that happened, just came out right after the, Battlefield Labs announcement, and the community reaction to all of this. So that's the plan for this episode, and we'll see how it goes. So, first and foremost, EA released a blog post announcing Battlefield Labs. Battlefield Labs is basically, let me talk about the Battlefield Labs. So Battlefield Labs is basically, I'll just go straight. So they released a blog and they just explained what Battlefield Labs is. It's basically a new initiative by them, also known as, for all Battlefield veterans, Community Test Environment, CTE. So this is basically it, but rebranded to be more marketable, I guess. I understand the word CTE, or Community Test Environment, is not really marketing friendly, so they just took that and renamed it to Battlefield Labs. So back in the day, with Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1, we had a thing called Community Test Environment for Battlefield games. And it's mostly because it was most like a separate build of the game, and it was just there to playtest, the patch, the changes, the features, some experiments before they go, or being decided later on if it's worth pursuing this idea and to release it for the retail game of the virtual version of the game. So that was the CT. Like, it was just a community test environment to test patches, new ideas, or whatever the case may be. It was a part of the development process for DICE back then, and basically this is going to be for this new game. Back in the day, we always had community test environment after the game launched. For Battlefield 4, it's because the game was broken and needed help. For Battlefield 1, it was mostly because it was like a kind of a nice idea that carried the Battlefield 4. So they want to do the same thing for Battlefield 1, but it never came to be the same thing for different reasons. So Battlefield Labs is basically a community test environment that is with the initiative to release the playtest or release the build of the game before the game releases. And that's an amazing idea. It's basically let people get in before the, the beta or the public alpha or whatever you want to call it. That's fine. Just like, apparently the playtest will start in a week or two, and it's basically just to get all the feedback they can about this new game, see what needs to be changed, see what can they improve, or whatever the case may be. And it's basically, a process, like a playtest, basically. It's like, here's our game, tell us what you think. They get all the feedback and see what they can change and so on to improve the game before the initial release. So they haven't announced how many playtests there will be. They said it's not gonna be on a schedule. Same was with back in community test environment. It was never on a schedule because game development is a bitch. That's what it is. Game development is a bitch, and there's no point promising you, you to the player a consistent playlist schedule, because you never know what's gonna happen in game development. Something will break, or maybe they'll find a new idea they want to implement. They will need more time, or whatever the case may be. It just happens, So they announced Battlefield Labs. It was basically a whole blog post. And before I go through that blog post quickly, I just want to mention the video that was attached with that blog post, and that I really enjoyed the video they, included in our blog post. And basically the video was like a 4 minutes and 12 seconds, basically 4 minutes of talking heads talking about the history of the franchise. They're announcing their future ideas, future initiative for the franchise. They announced that things called Battlefield Studios, and basically it's just like talking about Battlefield as a franchise, and then the last 12 seconds is the gameplay footage of the new game. you know, a little teaser, like what you expect from the next game, all that kind of stuff. So I went through this video. I watched, of course, the first thing I did was watch the video before I read the blog post, because blog post is blog post. I kind of want to watch the video first, then read the blog post, you know, to get more details about it. So I watched the video as it came out, and loads of, like I said, loads of talking heads, loads of interviews, so, you know, loads of important senior people talking about the next Battlefield or just the Battlefield franchise in general. And they basically talk about the vision they have for the future. You know, what's the vision for Battlefield franchise? You know, that kind of stuff. And let me tell you right now, I really like this video that they posted, because it basically showcases what we're dealing with for the future and what's the tone is for the next game. Overall, we learned nothing that new. Loads of corporate shiz, you know, loads of nonsense, and like, oh yeah, Battlefield is this and that, and we're introducing Battlefield Studios and all that kind of stuff. You know, it's all corporate jargon and all that kind of stuff. I mean, don't get me wrong, like, it's a well-produced video. It's a well-produced video. I love the aesthetic. I love the theme of it. I like it just shows like, hey, this is what the next Battlefield will feel like. And I'm glad they're going for that aesthetic. So I've been saying for the last couple of months that no matter how good or bad the game is, I said for the last months, if not a year, that I had a feeling, like, you can go to our previous episode podcast, you know, podcast episodes, and go through it, and which you should, because they're really good episodes. And I literally said many times, I have a feeling, no matter how good the game is, I think they will nail the aesthetic of the game. I think the presentation is going to be on point. And so far, the first ever video content we have for the new game, just overall aesthetic and the presentation and everything they have for this game, so far it's really good, really promising. I really like it. It's a really well presented video. I love the aesthetic. I love the glitch effects and everything. Like, it has a specific color. It's like dark gray, you know, a bit of orange, and like the logo is white and the text is white. Like, there's already a theme they're going for, and I already like it. I already like what they're going with this. So the corporate video, this is whatever the case may be. Yeah, it's loads of empty words, all that kind of stuff. You know, just fluff words. That's the word I'm looking for. It's loads of fluff and everything just to fluff you up. Like, this is what we're doing for the next game and so on, which is fine. But the aesthetic, I love it. I really love the aesthetic. I love the presentation. I love everything they talked about it, because it sends a good message. It's, you know, there's loads of things. For example, I was like, people say like, oh, we had this thing with, we're gonna talk about it later, but about the community reaction. But for example, people say like, we had this for Battlefield 2022 and other games. Yes, you're right. But even then, I was watching all those videos back in the day about 2042, you know, the pre-release stuff and all that kind of stuff. Even back then, I was like, something doesn't feel right? Like, I had that feeling back then. Granted, I already had people telling me into my ear, like literally whispering into my ear before the game came out, like many, many months ago, before even the game was announced. Like, former developers and everything telling me, hey, the game is not gonna be that good, so I think you should lower your expectations, because I'm not hearing good things. And I was like, what do you mean, 2042? Like, that's the game I always wanted. Of course it's gonna be good. Why would it be bad? Yeah, well, now, was it 4 years after the game came out? A different perspective, right? So even back then, I was like, but even then, like, I was like, something's not feeling right, even if people were telling me in the year, but something did not feel right with the presentation of the game. With this, I do feel something. I do feel something that it just feels right. Something feels like, you know, yeah, this feels like a Battlefield type of thing to do. Like, it just... So this video is a good sign. So that article that Vince and Pella did to IGN, announcing like, hey, 64 players, some weather effects coming, like, you know, we tight maps with the nice play space and all that kind of stuff. Like, classes are back. You know, Vince and Pella is really good at PR, and everything he said at that IGN article many months ago, was it many months ago? Yeah, it was September. So when he talked about that and everything, it was good. Everything he said was really good and the right things to say. And this video comes out with, you know, Byron Beatty, Vince Zampella, and other senior DICE developers at Ripple Effect, DICE, the DICE developers. Anyway, all the developers, they can find like important people working on this new game. They talked in the video, and they basically said like, yeah, this is our vision for the next game. And so far, I am hearing the right things. So far, they tell me all the sweet little lies, or whatever the case may be. They tell me the right things, and I really enjoy what they said. Yes, it's a corporate video. It is. Loads of corporate jargons and, all that kind of stuff. It's like, it's very fluffy for a reason. Yeah, I agree. I fully agree with that. But everything they said was the right thing. So Battlefield Labs is announced, right? They announced the Battlefield Labs. We're going to play test the game and all that kind of stuff. And that's great. That's great. I remember talking to developers that ran CT back in the day, Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 1. Like, developers told me like many times, like, it would be great to have CTE before the game comes out. It would be a really amazing thing to do because it will help them so much, in gathering the feedback and just squashing all the bugs and, everything, because we have so much data to track. It's like, it's such an amazing opportunity to do that. So never happened until now. So I'm so glad that CTE or Community Battlefield Labs is a thing now, because we can test the game before it comes out and they can gather all the feedback, everything they need. So I personally enjoyed this announcement. I personally enjoyed everything they said. And we'll talk about the gameplay footage that feature about the next game later. But overall, I like the video. It was well produced, well presented, and they clearly see the team, they set the team for this game. Like, they know what they want, the music, the glitch video effects, the colors, everything. So far, I love it. I said many months ago, and like I said, I sound like a broken record. I did say they will get the presentation aesthetics right. So far, no complaints from me. I'm eating all up like a good fanboy that I am. Daddy EA, take my pre-order, Take my bloody pre-order, Daddy. Daddy EA, please, give me that pre-order. But jokes aside. So, I love the video they made. So, let's go through this blog quickly. They have this FAQ, which has a lot of information about Battlefield Labs. So, what is Battlefield Labs? Battlefield Labs is our most ambitious community collaboration in franchise history, launching as we enter a critical phase in development. We want to build Battlefield with our community. So as I'm reading everything from this blog, just so everyone familiar. So it's a space for play and exploration, an environment where we can test concept and mechanics with our players before we release them publicly. Our community is at the heart of Battlefield. Their feedback is crucial in helping us know what to prioritize, what to improve, and what feels like an authentic Battlefield experience. Why is Battlefield Labs launching now? Battlefield Labs is launching now as we enter a critical phase in development with what's next for Battlefield, where we are looking to cross-collaborate with the community like never before. Now it's time to test big areas of the experience our teams have been building for the upcoming launch. How can someone be part of the Battlefield Labs? Sign up available at Battlefield Labs, battlefield.com/labs, battlefield.com/labs, ahead of our first external test sessions in the upcoming weeks. Interested players can also join the Battlefield Discord server for most up-to-date before you sign up, blah, blah, blah. So basically just saying you can sign up for the playtest, go to battlefield.com/labs or EA playtesting website and just register and see, if just register that you're interested. So the thing about this, when this came out, that sign up page and everything, right? I registered just fine. Like it took me just like you click on the survey, on the website. You click on the website, you do a survey, and you just basically register. And just like, yeah, we thank you for showing your interest in the playtest. That's it. That was easy for me. For me, I'm a European. I live in UK. So for me, it was easy. And I'll notice a lot of Europeans also got really easily, like with no problems. But for some reason, I noticed that Americans that try to sign up for the playtest, they had queues that are like large. We're talking, the last time I checked, it was like 250,000 people tried to sign up for the playtest, and they're basically in a queue. Some people got like kicked out because they would stay in the queue for too long or whatever the case may be. It was insanity. I don't know if I just got lucky or us Europeans had like less traffic because it was the middle of the day. Us Europeans maybe like working middle of the day or whatever the case may be. But I know Americans are more more hardcore community when it comes to Battlefield. And I mean, it's a different topic entirely, so I'm not gonna talk about that. But basically, the Americans had a queue. I noticed that, like 250,000 people trying to register for the playtest, and the playtest will be limited. There's gonna be only a few thousand people playing this upcoming playtest. So there's gonna be a lot of disappointed people, but that's the reality. That's the server capacity they have, and I understand that. Also, I understand NDAs and what, like they want to control the narrative, which is fine. I get that, and that's understandable. So, but yeah, you can. But also, I have to mention, if you do sign up late, like if you sign up now, like when you listen to this podcast, if you're listening on Patreon, you're getting this 3 days early. But if you listen to this on a public forum, which is the Battlefield 1 podcast on Spotify or whatever the case may be, you still can sign up, and that will not determine your priority in signing up. This is all going to be random. It's going to be all random, or not even random. Well, random to us, but to them it's going to be like they're going to pick specific people with a specific type of criteria because they want a specific type of feedback, for the playtest. So it's not really. It doesn't matter if you register now or later. As long as you register and you're interested, you have a chance to participate. Also, no one's saying that they're not gonna, expand the player base numbers later on, in the playtest, because hey, we need more players or whatever the case may be. That can happen. So anyway, how can someone? Yeah, okay, I read that part. This is the most interesting part. What platforms will the Battlefield Labs will be available on? Battlefield Labs will be available on PC via the EA app, PlayStation 5. PlayStation Plus subscription required, and Xbox Series X. Xbox Plus Core, formerly known as Xbox One, required. Anyway, so the game is available on PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X, which is the current gen consoles. That means, at least this is a good indication. It's not officially confirmed. But it's a good indication that says, hey, we're not releasing this game on all generation consoles. If that's the case, thank fucking God. Thank God that's the case. Because I said many times ago, many episodes ago, and I'm still gonna repeat this. The game needs to go. We can't keep releasing games on all generation consoles anymore. I'm sorry, it's just not enough. Those consoles are basically 15 years old. We can't not do that. It's enough. Time to move on, people. We can't support all generation consoles for that long. We're already flirting with the next gen consoles, with PlayStation, 6 and next Xbox Series and so on. We're already flirting with that. It's time. And PlayStation 5 was it already 5 years old, I think, if not 6. Whatever the case may be. Oh no, it came out during COVID. So yeah, 5 years old. We're already flirting with the next gen consoles, I'm so glad. At least it's a good indication that this game is not coming to the all generation consoles, and I'm really, really happy about that. It's gonna be somewhat next gen experience Battlefield, like a proper Battlefield experience. I want to imagine. Is Battlefield Labs invite only or open to the public? Battlefield Labs is invite only. Sign up available, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. So it's a closed playtest as usual. It's invite only. So that's like I said. Go register. You might get in. Maybe you're lucky. Whatever the case may be. We'll see. Is Battlefield Labs open to all regions? It's only available to Europe and North America so far. But as time goes on, they will expand the regions later on after these initial playtests. How many people will actually participate in Battlefield Labs? In what countries? Again, yeah, this is the same thing. Europe and North America. For now. So, like I said, once invited, how often the participants will be able to play in the Battlefield Labs? If you are selected, you will receive an email from EA Playtesting with more details about getting ready to play and how to share feedback. There will not be a rigid cadence for test sessions, but the plan is to run sessions that are appropriate times for different players at different regions, and allow for repeated testing every few weeks. Test sessions schedule will be predefined and communicate directly to the Battlefield Labs participants ahead of them taking place. So basically, like I said before I started reading this blog, I told you a lot. It's not gonna be on a schedule because game development's bitch, and it just stuff happens. So you can't really predict that. So but they will let you know when the playtest is, so you can prepare in the future. So you're not gonna be like minding your own business in the middle of the day, and then suddenly oh yeah, wake up, honey, a new Battlefield build is there for you to play. It's not gonna happen like that. They will let you know in ahead of time, so you can prepare and be ready to play the playtest. What kind of gameplay experience will Battlefield Live's participants get? An early test of concepts and mechanics before public release. Anyway, like I said, there's nothing important here. They'll playtest the game and everything. But what I have to mention from this is that each playtest will focus on a specific feedback. So they will try that's how it was back in Battlefield 4 CT and Battlefield 1 CT. Whenever something was released in Battlefield CT, it was always like, can you please give us feedback about this and only this? Because that's what we want to do. And this is going to be the same thing. So there's no plan or whatever. Just like they have a plan what they want, what kind of feedback they want, because they don't feel like, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe not confident enough about this particular feature. So let's test it out, see what people think about it. So that's how it's going to be. There's no schedule or anything. It's mostly make sure that everything they're making, everything they're producing is actually in good condition, and people actually like that. So they're gonna force you to focus on a specific type of feedback they want, and that's normal. That's just expected. Right. How will the Battlefield Studios development be gathering feedback and sharing that? Right. Is there anything important here? Let me look quickly through. The Battlefield Studios development teams will be looking at all the feedback provided during and after Battlefield Labs tests to inform what we need to prioritize, what needs to improve, and what we need to change to make it authentic Battlefield experience when we release it publicly. It's just jargon, nothing whatever. What sort of feedback the Battlefield Studios development team is looking for from Battlefield Labs? Like I said, they will focus their feedback on something specific, something that they want to focus on, because they're not sure if that feature, mechanic, or gameplay feature, whatever the case may be, is not that confident with the player base. They want to test that out and so on. Will those invited to Battlefield Labs will be able to speak out and show it, what they played? So this is what I said. All those invited to join Battlefield Labs will need to sign a non-disclosure agreement, NDA, as they will not be permitted to talk or show anything related to the experience with Battlefield Labs. This is what this is what gets to me. So we know playtests will happen. We know it's going to be a thing. You will be able to install the game, and people, for example, that know how to, go through game files and everything, they will start digging through and everything, and then probably leak stuff and so on. Also, someone's going to be streaming the gameplay because they're fucking morons. Because they expect if I stream the Battlefield playtest and no one's streaming, I'm gonna get all the views. Sure, you get banned the next second, boy. I mean, that happens. And so I don't know if NDA. I can't get why NDA is there for a reason, but it's not gonna stop people from leaking. As soon as you put in a wild, people gonna leak it. The gameplay is gonna be shown to everywhere, and listen, some people don't care that their gamer tag is gonna be flickering on the screen when you're gonna be in the game, so the developers can ban that person, their account or access to the game or whatever the case may be. Yeah, that's what's gonna happen. When you launch the game, your gamer tag is gonna be floating around the screen. It's gonna be part of the game, so you can, even if you stream or record and try to hide, you can't, because it's part of the game. That's how it's gonna be. So that's how people, that's how, people's accounts get banned when it comes to playtests like that. So that's just expected. So, and some people don't care about that. They're just gonna make a dummy account. They apply with a dummy account. They got access, and they're just gonna stream it and just that's fine. It wasn't my main account. Who cares? Some people do that, and the gameplay will gonna be leaked, and everyone's gonna be judging the gameplay. So I don't know if the NDA is really necessary. Maybe I don't know. Maybe there's a reason, a legal reason. Maybe it should be there. To protect themselves and so on. I kind of get that. But I don't know. It's just one of those things that I don't think it should be a thing. I don't think it should be a thing, because it's just whatever. So then they show the specs. What kind of specs you need to have to run the game on the PC version of the game. And I don't know if you really care. You can just go read the blog yourself. So who cares? right, they talk about what is Battlefield Studios. Battlefield Studios is the banner under which 4 world-class game development studios across 2 continents came together to build the future of Battlefield. To make our vision for the future of Battlefield a reality, we had to think bigger than just one studio. We rallied 20 plus years of Battlefield experience, combined them with the best emerging talent in the industry, and united them under a single banner, Battlefield Studios. Basically, and these studios are Ripple Effect, DICE, Motive, and Criterion. Each studio is focusing on each particular element in the game. So DICE is making the multiplayer, which is basically the core features of the game, like the main foundation of the game, which is the multiplayer. Ripple Effect is doing the leaked, well, not leaked, so I can't even say if it's leaked or not, it's just like rumored, I guess, Battle Royale, which is being led by former Call of Duty Warzone lead developer, Byron Beatty. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Motive is doing the single player, and Criterion is basically helping them around, helping all the studios with the content or whatever the case may be. And apparently Motive is doing some multiplayer maps, but that's like, you know what, when all 4 studios are working on one game and they all focus on one thing, something is gonna be, you know, interchanged or whatever. So like, it will be shared, like, oh, Motive maybe will make a map or 2 while DICE is making majority of them. Criterion is, for example, making like a single player mission and making a multiplayer map, whatever the case may be. It's like, you know, that's what happens with when 4 studios are working on one game. It's like some of the work will be shared, so, for obvious reasons, because they all in this together and they help each other, all that kind of stuff. And you know what, this feels more stable to me. You know, Battlefield Studios, sure, it's just a marketing name just to sell the idea that instead of naming 4 studios at once, we'll just name it Battlefield Studios. So a casual will understand that, hey, this is made by a bunch of studios that work on Battlefield. This is all for marketing, and it's fine. So it's what I'm reading about this and everything I experienced and heard about Battlefield Studios. I'm just gonna say this is everything they talk about and looks and everything. It looks more stable than Call of Duty under Activision. So with Call of Duty, we already know. Well, you maybe don't know, but Call of Duty Studios, which is Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer Games, Treyarch, and maybe even Beanox and Raven and so on. There's a lot of studios that just don't want to work with each other because they want to make their own Call of Duty game. They don't want to like make a platform or whatever the case may be. Warzone is the platform for Call of Duty, and every year we get integrations with the new Call of Duty in Warzone, and it changes basically the mechanics, the aesthetics, whatever the case may be. It changes the game to that current year Call of Duty. So last year we had Modern Warfare 3, and the whole Warzone was built around Modern Warfare 3, you know. And now we have Black Ops 6, and Warzone is under the Black Ops 6 foundation. So everything that was in Black Ops 6 transferred to Warzone because it's basically the same game. And the previous Modern Warfare 3 Warzone we had last year is not a thing anymore because they replaced the build of the game, you know. Sure, all your stuff transferred to the next game, but this only shows that there's so many problems with the integrations with Call of Duty Warzone. A lot of people in the a lot of people in the Call of Duty community are asking Activision, listen, you need to separate Warzone and annual releases. You know, Warzone's supposed to be its own thing. You know, it's supposed to be its own thing, and you can't just do an annual reset every time with a new Call of Duty game because it just creates problems. And yeah, Warzone right now is not the greatest place right now. It has loads of problems. Also, I'm not a fan of Black Ops 6 in general for many different reasons. I don't like the aesthetic and the gameplay elements, some of it, and it's in Warzone. I had to deal with that, unfortunately. So, and also because studios don't want to, you know, work with each other because they want to make their own games and everything. So it's a big problem. But here with Battlefield Studios, they're all working on one game instead of each studio working on their own game. So DICE is making the multiplayer, Ripple Effect is making the Battle Royale, Motive is doing the single player, and Criterion is just helping. You know, it's just helping. So that's more stable than Activision is with Call of Duty. So I'm kind of interested to see where it goes. But yeah, so this blog post they talked about Battlefield Labs. The key takeaways is that community involvement is very crucial. You can sign up to the playtest. It's closed, and you will have to sign NDA. It's available on PC and current gen only. And in each playtest, we'll have a specific feedback goals. Those are the key takeaways from this blog post. About the Battlefield Studios and Battlefield Labs. Good stuff. So far, I like it. I like everything so far they said in this blog post and in that video that I mentioned.